Welcome back to the kickoff. Quite an interesting episode we've got today. Some of it is about the football transfers. Some of it is about some pretty serious stuff. So we're going to start with the serious stuff. Obviously, this is the first episode back since Diogo Jota passed away in tragic circumstances. Him and his brother were killed tragically in a car accident. You know, apparently was a great guy. Obviously, we know he's a very talented footballer, but this is bigger than football. Just such sad news. Lads, just throwing it out there, just your first feelings when the news broke and what was like
disbelief. I think, you know, this is, I remember Jose Antonio Reyes passing away, and I think he's mid-30s, obviously ex-Arsenal player, someone who, you know, was a big figure at the club, and that was heartbreaking. This guy, to say he's in the prime of his life and career, 28 years old, only just married his wife, 3 children. And I think what you see on social media is it's a really beautiful thing that it's beyond the footballer. You get an insight into the guy. Amazing things he's done for fans. Amazing things he's done supporting the women's team at Liverpool. It's almost a shame that it takes something like this to really understand that as a rival fan. You know, to see the person behind the footballer. Clearly an amazing guy. So heartbreaking for his family, for everyone around Liverpool. And you just kind of hope that day by day, everyone's all right, because it is as tragic as it can be.
Yeah, I noticed, well, for a start, Liverpool have said that they're going to honour the contract and obviously look after the family, which we're all, you know, in support of. And you talk about some of the nice things to come out, the nice, you know, knowing what a guy he was, but also the way other footballers from around the world have honoured him with celebrations. Josh, did you see like Mbappe doing the number 20 and stuff like that?
Yeah, there's lots of sort of celebration moments in which players have scored goals and dedicated those goals to Jota. There was a big moment before the Chelsea game. Obviously, Pedro Neto played with him in the national team, and I think it's a testament to this guy as well. The fact, and his brother, the fact that, you know, he's touched so many people, and obviously he's affected them and their lives so much that he's got this sort of overwhelming positivity all around him, and people remember him so fondly. So I think that is a testament to the guy, and, you know, and the way he treated other people as well, for sure.
Yeah, one thing I want to touch about, which I found quite strange, and I think like deaths bring out emotion, and like everyone's just really feeling it online, and even people obviously who've never met this guy feel touched by it. And then you see the criticism, for example, that Cristiano Ronaldo was getting for not going to the funeral. KG, what do you make of that, mate?
Well, again, you knew that it's because it's him and Luis Diaz, right? And I get the Ronaldo. It's hard to understand because I would expect him to be there. I think Ronaldo's the captain he's the captain, so you expect him to be there. But then on the flip side, you understand the circus that comes with Ronaldo, and he doesn't want to make it about him or make that moment, because unfortunately, the lectures in the media, or just people in general, can really change the conversation. It becomes all about Ronaldo and how he's acting there. So to allow it to go, he chose not to. I understand it, but I think he should still be there anyway, if that makes sense. That's just my personal opinion. But again, I'm not Ronaldo. I don't even understand what that machine looks like.
And also the funeral was a very quick funeral, which obviously, I'm not sure why that, I know that can happen sometimes, and maybe there was a reason to do with that. But yeah, we just want to start it off by saying RIP to Jota, and I'm sure throughout the season there'll be big things planned to honour him. And
I think you lot are doing something. You're playing them first game of the season, right? Is Newcastle playing?
I think that's our first home game, but they're playing the game before that. There's lots of talk, and I'm sure lots of clubs will, like Wolves, for example, who should also be in the conversation there. He obviously made his name there to some degree, and sort of quite mad that he signed for Liverpool in 2020, played the number 20 and helped them win the 20th title, and maybe the number 20 might be retired now, I've heard.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is. And his last goal for the club was away at Everton. Massive game. Last one at Goodison. Yeah, remember.
Well, he was a clutch player, wasn't he? I mean, he was that guy who, like, when they needed a goal, he would often be the one to turn up with it.
I'll just say the biggest compliment I can pay him So I got a message in the morning saying, have you seen the Jota news? I honestly, you don't imagine it's this. I thought Arsenal might be linked to him.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'm on board. That's great. Like, this is a guy that, like, I think when any of our teams have played against Liverpool, you've gone, God, I hope they don't bring Jota on. I hope Jota's not playing.
So
He's a deadly player.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sad.
All right, lads. Well, that was obviously a tough one, and we're going to move on to something, even more delicate to talk about, in a sense that there's a lot of feelings going on about this Thomas Partey situation. It's something that we have spoken about on the kickoff going back a long time. We haven't hid away from anything. We never hide away from subjects like this. And he's been charged, which this apparently is a 3-year investigation. He's been bailed several times. The club obviously were aware of it, and the club are getting pelters online for continuing to play him throughout the investigation. It's a tricky one because legally we've seen players previously who've been suspended and then later, I don't know if cleared would be the right word, but they've had was it Benjamin Mendy then came back for his wages that he wasn't paid for the investigation. What should Arsenal have done? Obviously, I'm going to throw it to you, Jacob. What are your feelings on this, knowing that he played for your club throughout?
Yeah, it's kind of sickening, to be honest with you. And I think you have to offer all the caveats of saying he's been charged, he hasn't been convicted. There is obviously the potential of innocence here. I think it's 5 charges, 3 different victims making those accusations. And I don't know the ins and outs legally. I'm not a fucking lawyer. I'm a stand-up comedian who does football content. I don't know what you can do, can't do as a club. I do look at how Manchester City handled the Mendy case, and there's a part of me that just thinks, why didn't we do that? I've seen people say, well, Partey was a really important part of our team and Mendy was less important to City. You go, that's fucking crazy. What are we talking about? And I think as a fan, and I've seen people using this for tribal, Arsenal fans, look at you like, fuck that. Like, sorry for swearing so much, but this should be about the victims of this. And if you're going to use this as a way of bashing Arsenal fans, like, you're not giving this the seriousness it deserves. As a fan, I sat there in the stadium, obviously aware this is happening. Partey scores a clutch goal for us, whether it be against City, against Spurs. You go to celebrate and you go, oh, and it's like, why am I in that position? And in that instance, you think about both the police and you think about the club and you go, why are you making me sit here having paid the most expensive season ticket in Europe? And I'm having to do mental gymnastics in my head. I've not been in a courtroom. I don't see the evidence. I don't know what's going on here. I do think the club has a responsibility to make a judgment on these things and not let fans be in a position where they're going, I don't know whether I want to cheer this guy on because he's been accused of all these things. And so you said it, Brian, the club are going to get pelters. I'm sorry, they deserve it.
What do you make of the fact that there was a contract offer to him and then retracted in and amongst this time period right before he's obviously been charged?
The contract offer is where the club don't get off for me. That's where you can't play innocent. You can't play we were legally tied, couldn't do, blah, blah, blah. If you're offering him a contract after 3 accusations, 5 different charges, then you're complicit. In terms of the timeline of events, as I say, I'm not a lawyer. In terms of that contract disappearing, my theory, I don't think that was necessarily because they knew he was going to get charged. I think it's more that they genuinely couldn't get a deal done with him. He wanted money they didn't want to offer. Upon the point that he wasn't going to take that contract and he was then able to move abroad, I believe that's why he's now been charged, because there is the potential that he moves abroad to a country that wouldn't extradite him if the Met Police had asked them to. Therefore, the Met Police are in a position where they have to go, right, it's now or never. Again, I'm a comedian talking on a football podcast. I could be completely wrong. This is from the bits of research I've done. I don't think it's that the club knew this was going to happen. I think this has happened because he didn't agree a contract with Arsenal, therefore he could leave the country.
The point is that there's a police investigation going on, very serious charges. There's been other cases and other people that might have done slightly different things, but still the club has gone down on them straight away and they've immediately made sure that they're not playing for the club.
Yeah.
And what I worry about is, does this set a precedent for other players to say, if that is an important player in the team, we are not going to suspend them and not play them because of their importance to the team? And I do think that is a slightly worrying state of affairs, because let's be honest, obviously, you know, hindsight is 2020, but let's be honest, if this guy was a Zinchenko, if this guy was a Tierney, you know, like, I think it would have been a very different situation. I think he would have been suspended, and I don't think he would have been involved in the club. So I do think that's worrying from an Arsenal perspective that's happened.
That's sorry to interrupt you, Brian, but that's the bit that sickens me.
Yeah.
That's the bit, because I do believe that the club would have worked with the police. I do believe that the police would have shared information with the club. I just don't.
Why is that?
I don't believe that didn't happen. Because this is an incredibly high profile person. This is someone with a huge amount of money. I've seen suggestions that NDAs were signed by victims and then broken for this to come about.
Okay.
In if there was any, I find it hard to talk about, to be honest with you, but at Arsenal, we do pride ourselves on being a club that does things properly. Over the years, we have. We've in years gone by, we've been a club who, we champion our women's team. How do those players feel about this? Do you know what I mean? We call ourselves a classy club, and then this is going on. It's, if there's any suggestion,
just to interrupt, for a start, if this was Newcastle and there was an allegation, I don't care what position you play, if you're the star striker or whatever, you gotta be suspended. For me personally, I'm completely in agreement that you have to suspend them. And it may be really unfair, right? You may have a one person against one person, and eventually the person might be cleared. And we've just got to we can't take that risk, I'm afraid, because you're then putting fans in a position where there'll be victims in the stands, no doubt. There'll be female victims in the stands, for example, who will feel like they've been totally let down in the future if you don't take that precaution. But for me, here's my thing. Even if Arsenal didn't have access to the full case, which generally speaking, police cases, they don't just, here you go, let's have a look at it all. Do you know what I mean? That would be very unusual in my opinion. The thing that would have done it for me is 3 women. Not one where, you could have a crazy ex, for example. We've seen things happen before. Just, for example, 3. If Arsenal knew there were 3 all that time and then they didn't act on that, that's where I'm like, I don't understand.
We all knew. How many times did we see unnamed man in his 30s has been arrested again?
Yeah.
I remember the 3 times.
Let's be honest as well, right? The Premier League need to get to a point, because this has happened. This isn't the first time this has happened. I do think there needs to be some regulations from a central perspective to go
100%.
If this happens, there's no Arsenal need to be the ones that decide. If there's any worry or any concern that a player has done something illegal and potentially damaging just also for the Premier League's reputation, let alone Arsenal's and let alone his own reputation, then again, I think the Premier League should be setting out something to say they should be suspended, and then we'll sort it out. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of simple. It's like what happens with these influencers and their brand deals, right? You're talking about a massive brand at the end of the day. Arsenal as a football club, it is a brand. And this player linked to this level of, well, you've seen it. The allegations are so big. If most brands step away in that moment and say, let's wait and see what happens here. You've got that with the guy Shannon Sharp on ESPN. His situation, ESPN said, yep, straight off the channel, until the investigation's finished, we're going to wait and see. Because yes, you bring in the numbers. Yes, you're probably one of the main people that we want to hear from. We can't hear from you right now until this thing is sorted, because we have to show that we care about this said thing. So with Thomas Partey, we're not the flip side is what Man City did is they took away wages, right? So Mendy wasn't getting paid. That he should have still been receiving a salary, but then he's on a suspension. That could have been done by Arsenal, but it wasn't. It wasn't looked at. I know with the Everton situation, won't say the player's name, but he was probably the most expensive signing, and straight away suspended while they were just trying to find out what's going on. It's a different situation together, but I'm just saying. I
think that there's a lot of evidence, as you're saying, mate, of clubs who've acted differently to Arsenal. I think that's why it's reflecting, Man United, right? And don't get me wrong, the evidence
was different.
The evidence was out there. We had the case file. Yeah. But yeah, I think we're all on the same page, lads. They should have behaved differently, and it's a black mark on the Arsenal name, unfortunately, and they only have themselves to blame for it. We will move on to the transfer news now for Arsenal, because obviously it looks like Gyokeres is really going to happen now. KG has been hoping that they'd go for Sesko, and that would force Gyokeres to have to go to Man United. Yeah. KG, what happened to the pull, mate? What happened to the where's
listen,
the pull?
I don't listen. Do you know what?
The Man United pull was real.
I'm glad we're talking about Paul, because I've been looking at a little thing called the Newcastle pool, and no one wants to live there.
Deflect straight away, bro. Deflect.
Nobody wants to live in Newcastle. No one's moving to Tyneside. No, they just don't want to live there. No matter what. It don't matter what the wages are. It don't matter the Champions League. We don't want to live there. Now, for us, we finished 15th. Now, we were saying stupid things of maybe missing out on Champions League was a blessing in disguise. It's not been a blessing. We missed out on that. We missed out on that. We missed out on Gyokeres. I'm fuming. Arsenal fans are going to be doing this all season. His first game against Man United. Oh my God. What happened? Where's Sesko? I'm disappointed, man.
I can tell you what happened. We danced with Sesko for 2 years. We were chatting to Leipzig for 2 years. We had his agent come into games. He was there at the Newcastle game near the end of the season.
Oh.
We did the dance. We thought we were in. Apparently the agent went funny. Apparently the director of football at Leipzig wouldn't budge for 90 million quid. Asking price for Sesko, that's 77 million pounds. It's a guy who got 13 Bundesliga goals last year. I'm sorry, doesn't matter how tall you are, doesn't matter what you could be in a couple of years. If you're not 77 million quid's worth of player right now, you're just not. So that's what happened with Sesko. What does that mean for Arteta? I'd be very interested, because this Gyokeres stuff, there was no interest in Gyokeres from us until we got our new sporting director, Andrea Berta. It was very, very clear. Arteta's first choice was Isak, clearly not happening, so it was Sesko. Sesko was seen as someone we could mould into being our perfect striker over the next year or two. He could sit behind Havertz in the pecking order. What I'd heard is that last summer when we made the approach, Sesko had said to us that he wasn't sure about coming because he didn't think he could dethrone Havertz from our number 9 position. Now, that's a red flag. For me, that's a red flag.
That is such bollocks, isn't it? That's such bollocks.
Look at that's what was said in January.
If I were him, I'd be worried about Mikel Merino as well. Fuck me, what a striker he is.
But this is my thing, and I look at this kid, and I'm like, who is advising this kid? We had our reserve left 8 playing number 9 in the Champions League semi-finals.
To be fair to Sesko, right? Let's say that he did say that, right? You yourself, Jacob, have actually expressed a lot of caution in that whoever Arsenal bring in, you don't seem that confident that they'll get in ahead.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
If you're bored of the football this summer, we've got something that's going to make it much more exciting. For the rest of the Club World Cup, you need to check out Match Bingo. You can download the app on the App Store now on iOS or Android using the link in the description below. And Match Bingo lets you follow everything that's going on in the games you care about in real time. When you sign up and start playing, you'll get a card full of 15 match event coins. These represent goals, corners, offsides, throw-ins, that sort of thing. So in a game, you'll get 6 for one team, 6 for the other, and the middle 3 are for both sides. During the game, these coins will flip over and turn purple as they happen. And if you're the first to get one line of these coins matching, you'll get a prize. And if you hit all 15 of your coins, you'll get a full house and win the main prize pot. So no more boring games. Every throw-in, every dodgy offside, every card becomes more fun with Match Bingo. And they've already paid out over 200 grand, and when you get 4 cards, you get 1 free. So download the app today, use the QR code on the screen now, where you can click the link in the description below and start playing. So big thanks to Match Bingo for sponsoring us today, but for now, enjoy the video.
If we're talking about guys who've done 13 Bundesliga goals last season, no, I'm not sure he does get in ahead. Yeah. But you don't need to get in ahead because we ripped Havertz's fucking hamstring off the back of his bone, and then Mikel Merino played 30 games up front for us. Yeah. There's 60 games a season now. You get into the Club World Cup, you can call it 70. There's enough minutes to go round. If you think you're the guy, if you think you're going to be the next best striker in world football, I'm sorry, you come in and compete. And so I'll be real with you. There's a lot of stuff with Gyokeres I'm not sure about. There's an awful lot.
Yeah, you said it on
watched
here.
those
You
50
said it
goals. I said it to you boys. There's a lot of penalties in those 50 goals. There's not many headers. And we like those crosses in swinging from the right-hand side. Ødegaard, Saka. There's a lot of goals in transition. His first touch is a tackle most of the time. There's a lot of things with this guy that I'm not 100% sure with Gyokeres. But you know what? He wants to come here. He wants to wear the shirt. And he's backing himself to come in and score goals for Arsenal. And at some point, you have to say, look, you got a 22-year-old for 77 million quid who hasn't got the bollocks to say, I'm probably better than Mikel Merino. So fuck it. Give me the 27-year-old with 100 goals last season who reckons he might be able to score a goal.
That's not fair. You lot shouldn't just be able to destroy his name like that. Sesko never told you that he's afraid of Havertz. He never.
Why is he not here? Why is he not here? Why is he letting his club...
Out.
KG, why is he letting his club price him out? I'm sorry. He's just had a down season. That is one of the worst seasons he's had at Leipzig. If you don't move now, when are you going to move, boy? And if you're going to we know player power works, right? It is one thing your club saying 77 million quid. If you want to move, you will get a move. We know that. You've seen it with 100 players. If you want the move, you will get the move. You kick up a stink, you get out of there. He's not doing it.
I love how wound up Jacob is about getting Gyokeres. A lot of clubs would love to get Gyokeres, and I just feel...
I'm not wound up, Brian. Do you know what it is, mate? I'm
wound up. And I want him. Look, he's wound up, and I want this guy. He has no respect for number 9s, bro. You don't know what I'm getting through.
Don't. This is it. Mate, nail on the fucking head. Arsenal fans, we've broken our brains because for the last few years, all we've had is strikers who don't score goals. And I'm looking at Gyokeres, I'm going, he doesn't link play. Does he beat his man like Jesus? And my brain's broke. I should just want a guy who scores goals.
Literally, though, if you look at the teams that have won the Premier League in recent seasons, you have to have a beast of a goal scorer. Yeah. Erling Haaland did it. Mo Salah did it. All right, different position, but regardless, the goals are what win you the titles. You need someone to do that.
I'm so stressed. I'm smoking. The only thing I say, if you're not going to do your Sesko long-term project, build him into the guy, and you want win now, you want someone who's going to come in, and essentially you want your Van Persie. You know when Van Persie went to United, right? That was get us R9, score some goals, win a title easy. I'm looking at Ollie Watkins.
Oh, shut up.
That's what I'm getting.
Shut up. You are so twisted, Arsenal fans.
Go on, tell him why he's wrong. Is he wrong?
I mean, the obvious answer you've just said, right? The premise of what you just said is we need a striker to come in, hit the ground running, and be a difference maker. The answer is Osimhen. The answer is Victor Osimhen. It's so easy. So easy.
No,
athletically, far better. Goal scoring, far better. Would immediately come in, is a good age, still can get better as well. He would immediately improve your team.
But Josh, sometimes you have to say to yourself, we are 4 plums on a podcast who can't kick a ball if someone paid us to. And I think in most cases, many of us haven't been paid to kick a ball.
Bloody good podcast name that, by the way. 4 plums on a podcast.
The new spin-off.
There you go.
But what I will say, for some reason, no one's going near Osimhen, right? It looks like he might be in Saudi. He's just done Turkey. There's clearly something there. That is my other little red flag with Gyokeres. He's been banging in goals in Portugal for 2 years now. No one else is interested, apart from Man United, which, if I'm honest, is another red flag. There's just something there for me where I'm like, why does no one want this guy? Barcelona need a striker. No interest whatsoever. There's other clubs around. Yeah. And I just, with Watkins, I'll be honest with you. If you were to place a bet now, who scores more goals next season? Victor Gyokeres coming to Arsenal, fresh out of Portugal, or Ollie Watkins, who's just been banging in 20 goals a season, nearly every season for the last 4 years. Who's your money on? Because for me, I'd be very tempted with Watkins.
What if Watkins is wearing a red shirt at Man United? What if he's wearing red?
No, but he's saying hypothetically. I get the point of Watkins feels like a sure thing. Let's move on to another player who seems to be ready to make his debut at Arsenal any day now. We've got an expert in him on this podcast, Madueke.
Let's go.
You flogged him. Another one heading to Arsenal. You make a nice cheeky little profit there. How do you feel about losing Madueke to Arsenal?
Do you know what? I'm just happy for him. Do you know what I mean? I'm just happy that he's, in good spirits and that he'll get a really good move and that he gets to stay in London. And do you know what? The movers between Chelsea and Arsenal, if those are anything to go by, I'm sure he'll have a fantastic career.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? You are the fucking, literally, it's like a garbage bin, isn't it, Arsenal? Just Chelsea just throwing the trash in there.
Do you know what's mad, right, about this? And I'm bantering about this, but like Noni is actually a good player. He's just started his first game for England, and quite frankly, I don't know if he did win man of the match, but he was certainly there in terms of like should have been man of the match really in that game. He was brilliant, and also played on the left hand side, by the way, which a lot of people say that he can't do. Ultimately, the way that Chelsea fans feel about this is we know that he's a good player. There is one huge problem with him though, which is his mentality. He's a very selfish player. He tries to take penalties off Cole Palmer, who is out and out one of the best penalty takers in the Premier League. And there is an element of the game which is all about him. And I personally hate players like this, where they go, everything is around me. I'm the big dog here. I'm the one that should be taking the penalties. I'm the one that should be in charge. Selfish. I never pass. And honestly, that is what Noni brings you. But on the other side of that, what he also brings you is he'll shoot a lot. He'll probably get a long shot. He'll get in the box. He'll have touches in the box. Ultimately, let's be fair, Arsenal need backup wingers. They can't rely on Saka to play all of the games every season. Because quite frankly, he'll be in the doldrum.
Ranieri's leaving, mate. That's the kicker.
And then we don't know what's happening with Marcelli. So let's go as how the hell do you feel about that, Jake?
About Madueke though, before we move on, 10 goals and assists in total last season in 27 starts, and the season before it was 7 goals and assists. So he's hardly breaking records. It's quite average, I'd say, for a winger playing that many games in a top 6 side. It's not great, and I think it says a lot where Newcastle will link with him. And like Newcastle, I think we're obviously the level below Arsenal, where we're trying to get to where Arsenal are. And yet even our fan base were going, no fucking way. Nobody, not one tweet, nobody wanted him. So the fact that Arsenal are getting him, it is a bit of a head scratcher. And maybe the Nwaneri situation does explain why, because Nwaneri...
It's not though. It's not. When you think of it, when I like to try and take the piss out of Arsenal because it's fun, right? But then when you actually look at the signing, him as the backup to Saka, he's not a bad backup, and he can play on the others, and he can play on the left-hand side as well. So
it could be worse.
He has he'll make perfect sense at Arsenal. He doesn't have to, get used to the city. He's comfortable. The guy will be, with the other players that they're bringing in, he should be fine. He hasn't got the goal burden. He's not expected to do what he's expected to do at Chelsea.
Does he sound like the type of mentality to be happy playing backup to you? He doesn't sound that way to me.
I don't think he will be a backup.
And when Josh is going, the only thing is mentality. And Josh was like, it's just, I'm one of those people, I don't like players with that mentality. I was thinking, who else doesn't like that? Mikel Arteta.
Yeah.
Like that's our whole thing. Josh
just said he won't be backup though. You just said he won't be backup, Josh.
I think he'll be playing on the left, personally.
Ahead of who?
Ahead of Marcelli, because he won't even be there.
Martinelli's going, isn't he?
Martinelli won't be there.
He wouldn't play ahead of Trossard. He wouldn't get a game ahead of Trossard.
Do you know what's mad about this, Jacob? We were talking about this last night, right? And you were very down on how good Noni Madueke is. So what I did is I looked at some of the stats per minute, per game in terms of Martinelli and Noni Madueke. Noni Madueke has more shots. He's got a better passing accuracy. He's got more assists per 90. He's got more open play shots, more turnovers, more successful dribbles, and more carries into the penalty area. I mean, he's a better player.
Yeah. It doesn't matter where those shots go, right? It doesn't matter if they go in row Z,
don't worry
if they go in the goal.
Don't worry about that. You could win games of football by having the most carries into the penalty area. If only we beat Chelsea by making 3 turnovers more than you. He doesn't score as many goals as Martinelli. He's not as good a player as Martinelli. It's simple as that. What I will say with this move, if we had done Eze, if we had done Rodrigo, if we'd done the striker, and at the end of the summer, we went, you know what, we need backup Saka, go on then, Noni, you can come in. Then you go fair. I think the problem is, it's just the order in which we're doing these signings. If you're right, KG, that we're going to do everything else we need to do, and this is just backup to Saka, I'm happy. My only issue would be, Do you really need that in your dressing room? He's not happy to let someone else take a penalty. How happy is he going to be to sit on the bench while Saka plays right wing?
But there's leaders at Arsenal, though. You're not in that same space, man. There's Gabriel, Saliba. He goes in there as the small boy. He goes in there as the new fish. He's not going to go in there as the big I am. He'll follow what is going on. Chelsea, I don't think the structures at Chelsea that he's going to walk into at Arsenal.
But then you say about Ethan. This is the thing. You mentioned it, Brian. Ethan Nwaneri. How many goals did he score last season? 9 goals.
He was exciting as well.
It's only Michael Owen and Rooney that have done that at that age in the Premier League. He can cover at right wing. He did it for Saka last season. I don't know while you're trying to negotiate a contract with this kid, why you would put someone in his way.
I rate him, by the way. What he's doing is in demanding more minutes. Because what he's thinking is, like, you think young lads at his age should be delighted to be at Arsenal. He wants to go right at the fucking top, Frank Lampard style, right? And he's thinking, I need fucking minutes here, otherwise I'm never going to do that. And he's not just happy with his lot. So, part of me rates him. The thing I would be confused about is where he goes from Arsenal, because he's obviously being linked with Chelsea. But I think a lot of the big European clubs would be looking at him going, that's worth a go, that. Because he's got a lot of talent.
I mean, the other thing, Chelsea apparently asked about Max Dowman, the 15-year-old, the super kid we got coming through. But I personally, I think the Ethan thing is just agent talk. He's got the same agent as Saka. He's a very chatty agent. He likes to leak stuff to the press. He wants to get the best deal for his client, as he should. I don't think it makes much sense. I'm a bit worried about my game time at Arsenal. Where shall I go? Let's go to Chelsea, who've got 300 players who all play in my position.
Yeah. That was the one that made me think.
We don't have that many wingers, to be fair. We don't.
Well, Jadon Sancho's gone now and Mudrik's gone now, isn't he? So I suppose not.
We actually have 3 first-team wingers currently.
What about this Esteval guy? Where's he play?
He's one of the 3. You've got Neto, Esteval, and then you've got Gittins.
So let's move on to the final transfer I want to talk about of the episode. And my personal favourite, Manchester United obviously been trying to find a striker. It's getting a bit desperate. Do you know when you were saying earlier about people not wanting to live in Newcastle? How the hell do you end up with Dominic Calvert-Lewin at the top of your fucking strikers list, KG?
It's not
Explain that. Tell me that.
I can't believe it. Listen, you know when they say monitoring or checking out a player, they better not. This is the signing here. We've gone from Osimhen links to Osimhen. You have to understand the journey that we've been on as fans. Osimhen, Gyokeres, who else? Delap, Watkins, Mateta, Calvert-Lewin. And
I can just imagine Amorim now talking to the director of football and have we got anyone who likes to wear handbags though? Because and in football space, we can't even manage that. There's already, when he drops a stinker, you know the pitches that are going to be used. We're finished. Like we haven't progressed as society in the man's game for that. Like in terms of you're going to see these pictures. Yeah. As soon as he drops like a 4 out of 10 performance, and guess what? Do you know what the killer is? Someone messaged me and said, well, who's the better player? Him, Rasmus or Zaxi? Couldn't answer it. I left the chat. I left the chat. Honestly, I left the chat. He's probably the one that might help the team more in terms of like.
I'm going to say Zaxi's going to be a bit better than him. Zaxi's better than him, but not as a goal scorer. But
exactly.
I don't know.
Do you know the worst part of this, KG? The worst part of it is we're debating who's the best player. We know Calvert-Lewin is not going to be fit to play. It's not. He won't even be able to get on the pitch.
Oh God!
Fuck whether he's the better player or not.
They're going to end up turning to that old man that Amorim said he'd rather play over Rashford. That's actually where it's going to.
I'm telling you now, he's just going to be like a Tamagotchi for Luke Shaw. He's just a plaything for Luke Shaw, he's going to do nothing. He's just going to go, and that's why I believe this is just paper talk, and it can't be more than that. But it just really hurt because we desperately wanted Gyokeres, was hoping that was going to get him by default because Arsenal wasn't going to get him. And now our options are gone. But I do like Ollie Watkins, and I do know Aston Villa just they got some problems in Europe that they need to make
They're
right.
paying a fine, yeah.
So it makes sense. I would go and get him. We turned down John Duran. I don't know what's going on. So we must have our eyes on somebody. If you turn down John Duran and bring in Dominic Calvert-Lewin, everyone needs to go to jail. You've got to go to the
Watkins. I'm really surprised no one's done that Watkins move yet. He's one for me. If you want to just guarantee 15 Premier League goals, I think he's a really smart sign. Newcastle could do with him. Back up Isak. There's a lot of clubs who will buy worse players.
I think he doesn't want to be a backup though, which is why he'd be so perfect for Man United. Like he'd be head and shoulders their best striker.
Man, you can't afford him. Like let's just get the elephant out of the room. You cannot afford him.
Do you think that's why this Mbeumo deal is stalling? That they tried to haggle over a couple of million here and there.
I think they're going to sell someone.
They're going to struggle to raise the money. Let's be honest. Who are they going to sell that's going to be able to bring a lot of money in?
It looks like Sancho's apparently getting to Juve. They're saying personal terms is close to. That's all that's there. That's all that's missing. Is
20 million quid isn't going to be able to get you a striker and a winger.
No, we have enough to bring in Mbeumo is to do the job after it. Man United have got money. Man United have got
why
money.
Why are Man United stalling for weeks on end after Mbeumo was virtually signed and sealed and delivered? Like I feel like when you say they've got money, they've got enough money to do the Mbeumo deal, and that's it. And I think at that point,
that's the truth.
And even that is clearly a stretch because I've never seen Man United haggle and go back and forward for this length of time on a sure thing where a player wants to go and you want the player. I've never in my whole entire life.
It's mental.
I've never seen this. So there's a reason for it. It's not an accident. And you look at Anthony, who's going to be a tough sell. Sancho, you're saying he's agreed personal terms. We know Sancho will be wanting massive wages. That's not done until he's holding the shirt, in my opinion.
True.
Rashford, the same. There's so many players that Man United are going to struggle to sell. So you might be looking at Amorim starting with Cunha and Mbeumo, fair enough, which he should still have a way better season with, but it's hardly transformative.
It doesn't know. We're in serious, and this is like, we finished 15th last season. And our manager doesn't get any let-offs. He doesn't go into the season saying, hey guys, expect the rain, expect a storm. None of that's going to wash with the fans. He has to make sure he hits the ground running. And this is why he has to be backed. But then I think some of our stuff's going to happen late. Barcelona, you've already seen, we've ripped the number 10 off Marcus Rashford's back. He's no longer that. So he's going somewhere. There's no way you're going to give him another crazy number in the Premier League. He's leaving, probably end up on loan at Barcelona. All these players will be gone. And then it'll free up the wages, I believe. But it's just late business, which puts us in a precarious situation in the league.
Do you know what it doesn't do, though? I think a lot of loans are likely because of the astronomical wages, and even still, Man United might be contributing a percentage of a lot of these wages still. But what it doesn't do is put money in your bank to then go out and splash the cash. So really, a loan is a plaster over an axe wound. It's not actually helping Man United truly, in my opinion. Yeah. And that's why they need to drop the fucking asking price on all of them and start coming to the real world. I'm watching Man United fans come up with stupid numbers for a lot of these players, and it's like, do you not understand? When your club has made it so obvious that you don't want those players, you've got to slash the asking price. Otherwise, we're just going to do a Real Madrid with all of you and let the contract run down and take them for free whenever they're
I hear you, but then you're looking at teams. You're watching Quansah go for millions. You're looking at Chelsea's asking price on Noni Madueke, 50 million. You're talking about players that he ain't done what Garnacho's done. Noni Madueke's not come close to Garnacho in terms of what he's.
But look at the position of strength, so in the context of it, Madueke, Chelsea would be happy enough to keep him. They don't need to sell him. Yeah. There's not a massive rift between the manager and the player.
And that's where
the player's cutting him off out in public. Man United are just in a really weak position, and that's what's tanking the value. It's not even the talent.
Yeah,
it's the fact that Amorim really did not handle a lot of this that well. Like, if we're being honest.
That's the truth. Now we're really talking about stuff. Amorim's saying to the players, and I support it in a way. I support trying to get control and having a fresh start. You don't want the bad eggs in there, just destroy everything. Yeah. But at the same time, man, we're killing the value. Like, Garnacho not being able to come to training, I'm not giving you the best price for him. I know you don't want him. Yeah. So what are you asking for? And I think this is where Man United need to box clever, but we just don't have no one with sense in there. Nobody.
Yeah. Can I just ask a question before we leave then? What is going to happen to Rashford? Where is he going to play? KG, where is he going to end up?
Barcelona.
Right. My thing to come back on that is they've just signed Rooney. Big Rooney, great player. Winger, I don't think they'll get another winger, so I don't think he'll go to Barcelona. I think Rashford ends up in Turkey, personally.
Never. He'll never go there. His
honestly,
his pride won't allow it.
That's the only place he's going to be able to get the wages.
Never.
I reckon he'll end up in Turkey. Brian, where do you think he'll end up?
I think you could be right there, Josh. I think either that or a lower or a lesser Premier League club. And I don't mean lesser in league finish.
Newcastle.
But, I wouldn't be surprised if he went on loan to an Everton or somewhere like that.
Do you know my shout? I could see Rashford at Spurs.
Yeah.
That's a good shout.
I could see Rashford at Spurs. They need firepower. It's essentially a Son replacement. Yeah. I think it could work. Rashford is going to be one, I think, in 5-10 years' time, we're all going to look back and go, what happened? What
We're
happened?
watching it now, aren't we? We're watching, the death of a career right now, and it's
so talented.
Kind of sad, really, but also partly self-inflicted.
He's had a good career. He's not had a shameless career. So
no, but what it could have been, early on, the trajectory, it's gone to fucking shit, hasn't it, really? All right, lads.
He was decent at Villa.
Yeah, he was decent, but it wasn't what we thought he was going to be. That's all I mean. We'll wrap it up there because I'm praying that I'm going to be able to do a video where we announce a fucking Newcastle signing. Pre-season training starts tomorrow. Eddie Howe put out an interview towards the end of the season going, we've got to be fast because the best players don't stick around long. You've got to be active. And, he's just... same fucking faces tomorrow.
Is Longstaff still there?
Who are you actually going to get in, Brian? Who's realistic?
And Trafford are two targets that look like the most likely.
United.
And, do you know what's funny? That would make me happier watching a former Man United player smash them to bits. Honestly, I'd love that. So that's a transfer I'd be quite happy with. Even though people are saying, Mbeumo was the first choice. I think Alanga has massive ability, and I still can't believe that they were stupid enough to sell him for such a low price.
No, we're still getting money. We're still getting paid. You get 20%.
You get paid a fraction of what he's worth.
Yeah, it'll be fine. We'll take it.
And then, honestly, we need a lot after that. We need, we're linked with multiple centre-backs. We need a backup for Isak. We need a centre midfielder who can play when one of the three gets injured. We're fucked. As it stands, we are fucked.
Are you going to sell Lewis Miley?
Don't start with that. We're going to end the video. We're going to end the video now. Don't you dare.
Stick to the knife.
Don't you fucking dare. This guy's supposed to be a friend, honestly. Right, we'll wrap it up there. We'll catch you on the next one where I'll be announcing lots of big Newcastle transfers. We'll see you there. Cheers.